Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Karina. I'm the founder of Share Your Story with Confidence. It's an online community for English language teachers interested in developing their reading and writing skills and learning through stories and being inspired by stories. So today we have a special guest. Kate, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. I'm Kate. I know at least one of you, and I've been teaching English as a foreign language through conversation since 2016. And I started by volunteering in English immersion programs in Poland. And then I worked online for a startup out of Warsaw for maybe a month or two before I decided to start my own business, Conversations with Kate. So I teach online. I trained as a neurolanguage coach during the pandemic. And I also started a podcast for intermediate to advanced English language learners in 2018. And those are the English language learners that I basically work with, intermediate to advanced. So I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Great. And I think it would be good if everyone has a chance to get to know each other. My thought is to put you in breakout rooms, maybe small groups. What have we got? Three. We've got 369. I'm going to organize 3 rooms, randomly assign you to them. I'm going to open all rooms, say hello, introduce yourselves, and maybe you can talk about whether it's easy for you to come up with story ideas, and if so, what do you do with them? All right, I'm going to give us 3, maybe 4 minutes to get to know each other in our small groups. All right, I'm opening the rooms. Please join.
With publishing books, and for me, writing stories, it's absolutely new activities, new idea for developing. So I'm interested to being here today. So maybe I will be so inspired that I start this kind of new activities. So what about you?
Oh, that's wonderful. I also enjoy stories, hearing stories, reading stories. I am, well, about me a little bit. I'm from Brazil, and nowadays I live in US. And I am an English teacher, but I'm also a Portuguese teacher, and I am writing a book for teachers, trying to tell my story as a teacher and the stories of my students. There are many stories to tell.
What are your stories about?
Well, basically their learning journey and my own learning journey and teaching journey. So there
Hi, Marilena. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Here I am.
Is your partner here, Iman?
No, there is nobody. Who is supposed to be here? I don't know.
There's one other person called.
Eman Mansour.
Yes.
The one.
Yes, I am here. I have been writing in the chat box. Sometimes the sound is not clear. That's why I write in the chat box. I have been trying to communicate.
Oh, the chat box, I don't think it's going to work in this breakout room.
Okay, so this is what I have written. My name is Iman Mansour. I am from Egypt, and I have been asking Marlena where she's from.
Oh.
Okay, so I didn't hear you. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't hear you. I was somewhere else. I'm from Italy, from Viterbo in Italy, in the center of Italy. I mean, not far from Rome, about an hour by car from Rome. Originally, I'm from Abruzzo, though I've been living in this city since I got married. I've lived in the States when I was young. When I was younger, in Connecticut. Yeah,
Nice.
in Connecticut, which is in the northeast of the United States. I attended university there, got my BA and my MA there. Then when I came back, I got my Italian degree and I started teaching. And I'm here because I thought we were going to talk about literature, stories, seeds. I've taken a course recently in which we talked about harvesting and planting seeds as referred to stories. So when I saw the word seed, I was curious about what you were going to say about it. This is the reason why I'm here. But I'm glad to be here anyway. What else? I don't know.
That's okay. That's
Okay.
That's plenty. That's plenty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have been teaching English for over 20 years now. I have been to New York in 2002, studying there. And then I taught in Minnesota in 2011. So I taught for one academic year in Minnesota. I'm a high school teacher, and I have my MA in English literature. So I like poetry and I like novels. That's why I'm interested in this webinar. Yeah. Yes.
Great. I realized that I didn't fully introduce myself because, of course, I'm an English language teacher. I've been doing this since 2010, and I spent a lot of time in China, teaching in China for 6 years, and then I came back to England.
You speak Mandarin?
I speak some Chinese, and you?
No, of course not. I speak some German.
Ah, okay. And so now, yeah, I teach online, work online, and trying to organize activities around creative reading and creative writing. I think we're going to go back to the main room now.
Yes, well, that's what it says.
Yes. So see you guys there.
Okay.
See you there.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you got to know your breakout room partners a little better. We are going to organize this workshop in 2 parts. Kate will do the first part and I will take care of the second. So I'm going to pass over to you, Kate. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I will share my screen then.
Okay.
Okay, so I told you that I began to teach English as a foreign language in 2016 and through conversation. And some of my clients asked for listening comprehension practice. And one client in particular asked me to tell her a personal story. So I just wanted to start by saying that I never saw myself as a storyteller or writer of stories until just a few years ago. And now I've written half a dozen or a dozen stories and a 100-page book, which I self-published, and all for intermediate to advanced English language learners. So I want to encourage you. I found out Irina has already written stories, but some of you might just be starting. I think if I can do it, you can do it. Oh, I hope this is going to work now. Wait, okay. So your travels contain seeds of stories. Since this client was Polish, I decided to tell her a story about the first time that I came to Poland. And it was for one of these English immersion volunteer programs that was called Angloville. And I went by myself. My friends thought I was crazy. They didn't even know if it was a real thing. And I'd never been to Poland before. So I, didn't know exactly how to maneuver, but the idea was that I had to meet the group of volunteers and the facilitator at Zygmunt's Column, which is the column that you see in the picture. And it's in the old town of Warsaw. So I managed to get to the old town and then figured out that that was Zygmunt's Column. And of course, I traveled pretty light, but I had a suitcase in tow, a rolling suitcase. And I went up, there was a tour guide already talking right near Zygmunt's Column, and there were people assembled there. And so I joined the group. And then just as they were about to leave to go on the tour, I felt self-conscious because I looked around and nobody else had a suitcase. And so then I looked around again and saw another person with a suitcase, which was great because that was my group over there. I almost left with the wrong tour group, and then I would have been really lost. So it was just a very short little story. But afterwards, I wrote it up, and then I took some vocabulary and and I added conversation questions, and that was my first story, basically. Yeah. So now I'd like for you to grab a piece of paper, and just a plain, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and something to write with. And we'll collect some story seeds. So does everybody have something? I just took a plain piece of typing paper. And then I just folded it in half the long way like this. So if you have paper, you can show me by holding it up like this, and then I'll know that you're also ready. Great, super. Oh, if you want to do it in a journal, that's fine too, whatever. Great. So if you want to do it in a journal, what you'll be doing is just making 6 boxes, basically, like you see on the slide. Now, I'm a gardener, and so I am aware that there are seed banks, like really important seed banks. In Norway, they're storing seeds from all over the world. I know there's one in Palestine just for those heirloom seeds. Heirloom seeds are the ones that reproduce as the original seed. Hybrid seeds are the ones that you can't save. And seed companies have made a lot of money by making hybrid seeds. But heirlooms are the ones that are passed down, and you can grow the same thing and then save the seeds and then pass them down and share with your neighbors and pass them down, just like stories. So anyway, I hope everybody has paper. And then if you have paper like this, you can fold it into thirds, and then you'll have 6 boxes. And if you're working in a journal, you can just make 6 boxes. And we'll just something like this. I can't see myself, but I guess. Let's see if I can change this. There's a grid. Great. Yeah, and then we can start labeling them. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story that came to me in each of these categories. Again, recognizing that you can make a huge seed bank, of 100 boxes and start collecting things on different themes. And I'll share more with you later, but you can grow this seed bank, as big as you want. But we're just going to try to talk about 6 today. So the next story that I wrote was actually about an animal, and it would have been a pet. I would have adopted it, but someone had just let it go out on the street and it had wandered up to my house, a little kitten. And I was getting ready to go to Poland. So I couldn't really, have my house sitter with a new kitten. And so I rescued it and I wanted to try to get it to the shelter. But it was kind of a complicated story because it was kind of wild and it took me a while to catch it and then to tame it. And I won't go into all the details, but there was a really funny thing that happened. And it had a happy ending. So I'll just say that because I want you to think now about pets or animals. Did you ever rescue an animal? And just jot down some notes here. I just wrote rescue small black cat to remind myself that I could write a story about that. And I might add stinky fish and water slide because it ended up being trapped into a big PVC pipe. And when I washed it out, it came out like it was at the water park. So anything that will help you remember, details for the story. And I'm just going to give you a minute to do that.
Hi, Kate. Can you see Talita's question?
Oh, no, I can't see your question.
I can read it to you. If I had more than one story, should I only pick one or do I put?
Oh, right now we're just collecting seeds. So throw as many ideas as you have in there. Okay. You're just making notes. Each one is a little seed that you can germinate later. You can sprout it later. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure why I can't see the chat. So I'll give you another 30 seconds or something to finish writing there. But of course, it's not finished. It's just beginning to think about how could you write about animals, pets, rescues, anything that you have experience with animals. And then we'll go to the next box, which I've labeled travel, but I would also say travel mishaps. I think people are really interested, in hearing stories when other people screwed up, like the one I just shared, because then we make a connection. Oh, I'm not the only one that does dumb stuff, So travel mishaps sometimes makes a fun little story. So I'll give you just a few minutes to think about any travel mishaps, worst trip ever, whatever. That could make a good story. It could be a seed for a story. I might say too, if you don't travel a lot outside of your country or even outside of your town, it could be a trip to the grocery store. It could be, a small trip as well that could make a good story. Maybe something you bought that turned out to be a disaster. I don't know. Or a great find. Okay, we're going to move on in just a few seconds.
Kate, there's a message that says, "This is amazing."
Okay, thank you.
Exclamation mark from Talita. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Talita. It's amazing to be here. And I'm so excited that, you know, you're all thinking, writing. It's fun to watch. Okay, so the next category is what I call coming of age. And I was a children's librarian before I had to leave public school teaching. And so I read a lot of stories to preteens and teenagers. And, you know, a lot of those stories are, I think, meaningful to adults as well, because they triggered that, you know, memory in us. And so one of the stories that I wrote was about the time that my dad he was teaching me to drive, and I'd already learned. But then one Sunday morning, he said, hop into my big black Cadillac. He was a school teacher, but he also sold real estate on the side. So he had this big fancy car, and I hardly ever drove that car. In fact, I think that was the first time I ever even got into it. And it was like going into a big black cave. It was so big, you know, and kind of scary. And he said, okay, now, you know, we're going to go out on the road. And instead of driving around the little town where I grew up in, he took me out on the highway at just two lanes, you know, one going this way and one coming this way. And I grew up in Minnesota, so the roads were very straight. We kind of went over some hills, but everything out there was, all the roads were on north, south, east, west. So very straight road, if you can imagine that. And then what he did this was a story that had a lot of suspense in it, because he told me to keep driving faster and faster and faster. And I kind of talk about what that was like, you know, and how crazy I thought it was, and what is he doing, you know, and I don't understand. And he made me drive until my foot was on the gas and it hit 100 miles per hour. Of course, you're probably thinking, you know, with not in the metric system, but anyway, 100 miles an hour is pretty fast. And then he said I could stop. And then, and I talked about what it felt like, and, you know, was even on the road anymore. And then he turned to me and he said, now don't you ever do that again, you know, and that was the end of the story. But if you have some lesson that somebody taught you, you know, when you were just coming of age, that might make for a really good story. I mean, we all have really interesting experiences about growing up, I think. So take just a minute and see if you can think about any seeds for stories that have to do with when you were growing up, especially around that age, 13, 14, 15, 16, I think. I see you're all working, but I'm going to move on just for time, and you can always come back to this. The next category is seeking, something that you want to find. And, you know, it could be something bigger, it could be something small. When my father died first, and then my mother died 3 years later. And so my two sisters and I had to clean out her house. And it was very stressful, and we all had different things that we wanted. One sister wanted the art, the other sister wanted linens. And I said, all I really want are Mom's reading glasses, because they had prescription glasses. They didn't have any need for them. And Mom had bought a pair of reading glasses for every room in the house, for every purse. She had all these reading glasses. And I thought, great, that, you know, I'm going to collect all of them, because some of them were really fun, funky, you know, and I just thought it would be great to have her collection of reading glasses. But what happens in the story is that I start finding them and they're broken. And I'm going to let you download that story at the end. I'll give you links where you can download it. But I'm going to suggest this category of looking for something. Okay. I love it that you're writing, you know, and I hate to interrupt you, but it's great you're coming up with some ideas. You can always come back to this. The next category would be the heirlooms. These are stories that were passed down to you. And so I wrote two stories that my grandmother had told to me. One was about how she survived the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. And I thought, you know, that would be really relevant because I was writing it during the pandemic time. And then I also wrote a story that she told me about how she and her sister married two brothers, which is just kind of something a little bit out of the ordinary, I thought. So the double wedding was my other heirloom story. What stories have been passed down to you that you could retell? Okay. A couple more seconds and then we'll move to the last category for today. And that is challenges. So I wrote this 100-page book, which I'm sure you're aware of, Beyond Expectations, which I self-published, about several challenges, actually. One was just walking 100 kilometers from Tui in Spain to Santiago de Compostela. So it was part of the Camino Portuguese, just to see if I could do the walk. That was a challenge. And then it was also after a period of overcoming illness. And so I had become clinically depressed basically. And, you know, it was really serious illness. So I was seeing if I could, you know, be strong and be out on my own and being I had a lot of anxiety. So even being out, you know, in society, that was part of the challenge as well. So it was about getting out of my comfort zone and taking a risk. And then during the walk, I also had a lot of challenges because one of the reasons I got sick is because I didn't have my life arranged very well. And so I had to come back and fix it. So this is could be really complicated, you know, a longer story, and it was complicated for me, but it wouldn't necessarily have to be. Any little challenge, I think, makes for a good story. You know, is the main character going to overcome this challenge or not? And, you know, what are the obstacles and how do they overcome those obstacles? So take just a few minutes to think about a challenge that you might like to write about. And hopefully you have an idea or two or three little seeds to put into that part of your seed bank. I'm just beginning to think of myself as a writer, but I know that writers often say the worst thing is looking at a blank page or a blank screen. So if you have a seed bank, and you have some time to write, then you can pull that out and you have something to germinate, to get started. So let's see if I can move my slide. So I'm a gardener and I love this whole metaphor. So you plant your seed, you water it, just let it flow. Don't judge your writing. I just found it was really helpful just to write, let it flow. See what comes up, and sometimes I remembered things that I hadn't thought of and, since it happened basically. So you see what comes up, you fertilize, that could be elaborating on the story, put it under the light because plants need light and stories need light. You examine the parts and see how they fit together, how you could make it flow better or be more interesting. So you tend to nurture it, you check on it, reread it, water it some more, watch it grow. Pruning is like editing, taking things out, cutting it back. Repeat the previous steps as needed, and then you begin to harvest and share. So I just put, that was my Spanish flu pandemic story. And I included in this lesson guide, the vocabulary on the first page, and then conversation questions, and then the text. And I included, these were actual pictures from my collection. So that was my grandmother when she was about 16. And then that was her little sister who actually died in the pandemic. And in this story, her little sister appeared to her before she died, even though she was not at home, but she waved goodbye. And so it had this supernatural faith building kind of element to it that had always meant a lot to me. And it also meant a lot to the people that I shared it with. So 3:05, that's my time up, but I will just click on the last one just to tell you that where I get some of my inspiration. You might want to take a screenshot of this actually, or maybe we can send it out later, send the links, because you probably know about TED Talks, but these are 3 really great TED Talks about stories. And here is a 29 plot template. So you could get lots and lots and lots more ideas for boxes for your seed bank. Thanks. I'm going to turn it back over to Karina.
Thank you so much, Kate. It was really nice for me, usually leading the session, but I was able to relax and let it flow. Yes. I don't know about everyone else, but I got quite a lot done. Maybe you guys, would you mind showing your little pieces of paper? Wow, okay, it looks good. Everything looks good.
Thank you. I'm going to mute myself now then.
Sorry?
I just said I'm going to mute myself now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Kate, for helping us, plant some seeds, for letting it flow. Yeah, I guess the next step is to kind of fertilize and elaborate. What I'm thinking about is how we capture these ideas. We've, started to do that by putting them down on a blank piece of paper. But how else can we do this? Let me share my screen with you. Hold on, there's a comment in the chat. Oh, okay, yeah. That's Kate sharing her links. So I'm thinking of old school, new school ways of capturing ideas and capturing seeds of stories. The first way is the good old diary. I am a diary writer, or in North American, a journal writer, since I was very, very young. And when I remember, I can write, whole pages of what's going on. So you can capture in your diary facts, feelings. You can just talk about what's gone on through the day and how you feel about it. So apart from a piece of paper, a really great idea is to write a diary. Does anyone write a diary or a journal? Give me a thumbs up or a hands up, or that's a really, really useful practice Another, this is going to look like my diary, but another suggestion is a dedicated notebook. A dedicated notebook to creative writing. This is my one for my poetry group. So I'm a member of a poetry group, and I have so many pieces of paper and things that have been made, and notes, stories and poems. So another kind of classic way to capture ideas and to kind of keep them in one place, because I write a lot of notes on papers and they disappear, they fly away. So a notebook is your friend. So going from the kind of old school analog, we have a digital, new school digital idea of using a note-taking app. For example, you have on your phone usually a free app. On iOS, on Apple here, I think it's just called Notes. You can also use Evernote. There are many other different free apps that you can use to capture ideas on the go. Does anybody make notes on their phone? I've got one thumb up, some raised eyebrows. Very dodgy idea, Karina. Okay. And I'm going to go even more radical, still sticking with the phone. Not only can you type on the phone, but you can actually record voice notes. And this is very handy. You're walking down the road, you're in the park, you see something cool, you don't really want to type it. You could attempt to record yourself. Again, on our phones, there is usually a free app. I'm just going to show you my free Notes app and my free voice memo app on the phone. Now, there is a reason I'm pointing these out, and hopefully that will be clear, become clearer later. So we have these tools that we can use to capture our seeds. Now we need some sort of way to fertilize these ideas, elaborate, tend to, nurture. And a great way to do that is through using templates. Now, we've looked at this before in a previous workshop. I want to bring it back because I think it's really clear and simple. Here is a structure strip. It covers the basic story structure in 5 parts: introduction, build-up, problem, resolution, and ending. And let me give you a simple kind of story example. So, introduction. Karina is a popular, brilliant, successful teacher in a school. Build up. Technology is advancing, and schools are adopting technology in the classrooms. Problem. Karina doesn't know how to use any of these digital tools. It's embarrassing. She's afraid, fear of technology. Resolution. She signs up to a CPD training and acquires some new skills. And the happy ending is, Karina is that confident, cool teacher again. Okay, so that is the example of the structure strip. Now I want you to try it out with something from your seed bank. From your seed bank. And to make it even more interesting, and this is an option, I would like to invite you to try to use your Note app. Can you type on your phone? I'm going to open up mine. Oh, how do I do it? Yes, here I am, blank page, notes. You're going to have to imagine that you're on the go, you're on the train, and you've got this idea. It's an idea from your seed bank. You absolutely need to elaborate on it now. So try typing this up. You can maybe type the headings: introduction, build up, problem, resolution, and ending. Maybe type that up. Then I want you to add 1 or 2 sentences to each part, drawing on one of your seed bank ideas. Shouldn't take you long to write these sentences. Then I would like you to share with a partner. But first, I'm going to give you time to write. Oh, did I stop sharing? Let me go back, just in case you need that. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes just to write 1 or 2 sentences for each part. One minute left. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like you to share your little story with a partner, or you might be in a small group. I'm going to organize us randomly. And I would like you, when you've listened to a story, just to ask one question. What do you want to know more of? Maybe something wasn't clear. Let the writer know. Maybe that can help them for the next part of the writing journey. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Recreate 3 rooms. Oh, there's 6 participants. Yeah, 3 rooms. So recreate. Here we go. Open all rooms. Please join 3 minutes.
Karina, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. Okay. Should I start?
Please, because I didn't have time to write anything.
Okay. Before we start, are you English or American?
I'm from England. I was born in London.
Okay, great. Okay, so I followed your lead. So let's say Iman is an active teacher who seeks to develop herself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So she applies for an exchange program where she can work and live overseas on her own for a whole year. However,
Okay.
being an Arab young woman who has lived with her immediate family is an obstacle.
Right.
Okay, so she insisted on joining the program, and actually she managed to depend on herself and to overcome all the obstacles that confronted her overseas, and she achieved success where she worked overseas, and finally she came back more confident and thinking strongly that whatever she wants to seek or do, she will do it. That's it.
Brilliant. I really, really like that. So the ending, we have a very confident woman.
Yep.
So at the beginning, because I didn't hear everything at the beginning, it's good to have a contrast, right? Maybe the opposite. So did you say that this young woman is maybe very shy and not very confident? Did you say that at the beginning?
No, I didn't say that at the beginning. Yes,
Okay.
but maybe I hinted at it when I said being an Arab young woman, because yes, you know, in the Arab world, women, generally speaking, not okay. I'm lucky to be in my family. They allowed me to go on my own, and so. But most of the time, we women in the Arab world are not allowed this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is a challenge. You are all the time with your immediate family, with your brothers and parents, and somehow you don't feel your independence.
Right. Yeah. So I think
you can't rent like your own flat. You can't do things. You are restricted to a great deal.
I see. So I think that is a nice contrast, and it's a really good change. So if you can talk more about that at the beginning, then that makes it more interesting, this change that happens at the end.
Okay, yeah, I got your idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to go back to...
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We're going to go back to the breakout room now. So you can...
Okay.
You can wait, or you can click leave breakout room. Okay.
Okay.
See you then.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. We're slowly shrinking. Oh, no, there are more people. I was like, did everybody disappear? No, everyone is here. We're still 6, which is it's a good number. Oh, somebody is arriving. I'm admitting them, but they're very late. We're almost finished, unfortunately. Let me share my screen again. So this is one way of nurturing your story and helping it grow, adding some details. And I wanted to share one more template with you. It's quite a well-known story structure. This is actually quite often used in the business world. It's very common for businesses to want to connect with their audience through stories and through storytelling. So here we have a story structure from the story brand process. I'm trying to remember the name. Hold on, let's see. Do I have the name of the guy? Who kind of copyrighted this? Donald Miller. Okay, Donald Miller. I've got it. I think I've got, yeah, Donald Miller. Thanks, Kate. So let's have a look. We have different stages in this story. We're introduced to a character who has a problem. Then this character meets someone, a guide, somebody who's going to give some advice and offer an opportunity, a plan of action. This opportunity comes up and the character takes that opportunity, goes for it, and either it turns out really well, we've got comedy here, either it's a success or it doesn't turn out so well. We've got tragedy here, or it's a failure somehow. So this is another common story arc that, that we can use to fertilize, nurture our stories and make them grow. So you know what I'm going to ask you now, right? Okay, so we use the Notes app. What else is left? Okay, let's try this. I want to invite you to try your voice memo app. Your mic is off now, right? Keep the mic off. I'd like you to record yourself. You can either choose a new category and talk through your ideas following this story structure map, or you can further elaborate on the one that you were working on just now. So I'm hoping this is going to help you to expand your ideas. What time is it? Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes again. You just need to find your voice recording app, open it and press the red button and just talk away and talk freely and talk through your story. Okay, the time starts now. One minute left. Okay, say your last sentence. Try to wrap up with your last sentence. Oh, I forgot. I'm in the middle of a workshop, right? Thank you so much. Gosh, we're already at the end of time. Normally, I would like everyone to share their stories. However, I will ask you to unmute yourselves if you would like, and to share about this short experience. How did it go for you? Difficult, easy, learn something new? You're welcome to unmute and share.
Well, I found it wonderful to find all these seeds that I didn't even know that I had. You know, sometimes you have good stories to tell, but when you are talking to friends and you have this situation, but when you sit down to write, they never come up to your mind. So I really enjoyed this exercise. I'm gonna do it forever. I came up with ideas that I didn't even know that I had. So that was wonderful. The developing was much harder for me. I think I need more time, but it was fun as well. And I think for the recording, because I had short time, I just had to put everything together and I made it. And I was happy with that too.
Thank you, thanks.
And I would like to say that it's a great idea about creating these seeds and collecting them. Yeah, wherever they come to our mind, and maybe later we can develop a story. And it's interesting and funny how we can combine. And but also, like, writing a story is easier for me. I kind of see it and I take time to think and I write. And when I speak, it can just flow, I think, in the wrong direction.
Oh.
Like just talking, but I don't know. It's I think for me more productive would be writing, but maybe I can just practice more with speaking.
It was just, it's an idea to stretch yourself. It's an idea for maybe people who maybe struggle to write down their ideas straight away. So maybe start with speaking and then move that to writing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciated the practice of using my phone because it's not something that I've done, but maybe I will now in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, here I am. I think you're waiting for me to say something, right?
You don't have to.
This is my very first workshop in English. So far I've followed writing courses in Italian, in Italy. So, as I was telling Kate before, in a course I followed before this, about a month ago, we talked about seeds and harvesting. And when I saw the word seeds in this workshop that I heard about from a friend of mine, I was curious. It was interesting. It was a workshop, really, because the course I followed so far was just a course. They taught, mainly the teachers taught, and we just listened. And then we had a final story to write for this course. But it was, I liked it, enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, everyone has spoken. Iman, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I enjoyed so much, and actually I appreciated your feedback in the breakout rooms. So I got it that if I'm going to write, so I had to pave the way with the proper adjectives that could show the conflict between the resolution and the problem. So it was very, very enjoyable and informative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm just going to just say hello to Julio. Unfortunately, you arrived just at the end, just as we're wrapping up. But of course, this is recorded, so I hope you can go back and watch it then, watch it later. And of course, we've just compressed a lot of ideas into about an hour. And whether it be you working on these on your own or as a teacher with your own students, of course, you can stretch that time and give them more time to work on things. What else do I want to say? Yes, so in terms of working on writing and developing writing skills, we have a creative writing club, or Share Your Story has a creative writing club, and you can learn more about that on my website if you like, shareyourstorywithconfidence.com. We read stories, analyze stories, and we take inspiration from them to write our own. Before I say the final goodbye, I just want to hand over to Kate. Where can we find you? And yeah, tell us more.
Okay. So I told you when we were going through the seed bank exercise about the reading glasses story, and I have posted it temporarily, at least on my subscriber page, and the link is in the chat. So you can find me at conversationswithkate.net and then /subscriber. So you can download that story just to see how I created the story and put it with vocabulary and also conversation questions and how I would use it with my intermediate to advanced learners. And I also want to just draw your attention to Irina's post. When in the first breakout room, I recognized, am I saying your name right, Irina? How do you say it? Okay.
Irina,
I had just,
it's Irina, yeah.
Good. I was just watching her presentation at the Online Teacher Summit, where she has already written some stories for young people and self-published the little books, and she sells them on Etsy. So she has very kindly put the link in the chat. So I'm going to check that out and invite you to do it also.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, just to repeat, check out the chat if you want to see the link to Kate's site where you can find her story. We've also got Irina's Etsy link there, and I've just typed in shareyourstorywithconfidence.com if you want to find me.
Mm-hmm. And you can save the chat by clicking on the 3 dots. You can save the chat to your computer. You don't have to copy and paste those. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Also, I think when I send a copy, I'll send everybody a copy of the recording and I'll send the links then as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It was really fun to be here with everybody. Thank you for the invitation, Karina.
You're welcome. Thank you for co-hosting. Thank you, guys. And well,
thank you. Thank you.
Ladies, for
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Julio for joining at the end. Goodbye and have a good day and catch you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.